Hello and welcome to another edition of Video Games to the Max. I'm your host, Sean Garber, and here with me, as usual, Mr. Mark Morrison.
Howdy.
And well, we have quite a few things to talk about here. I got some more Sea of Stars to talk about. My adventure with thought I was going to like Starfield and then not. Mark has been playing Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. And we also got a big controversy with game developers and the Unity engine deciding to start charging fees for installs, which that's already been backtracked once. Let's see how we get any more backtracking after today. Embracer is continuing its fire sale and considering selling Gearbox. And we have more Square-Enix with their another game that doesn't meet expectations. And a lot more right after this.
You are listening to Video Games to the Max.
All right, so let's go ahead and get the housekeeping out of the way here rather quickly. If you enjoy the show and this is your 100th time listening or it's your first time listening or watching, whether you watch live when we do this on Wednesday afternoons or you watch on demand, which is most people, you can enjoy that continuously by subscribing on our YouTube channel, WTO Network. You can subscribe, ring the bell, follow all that, follow on Twitch as well. And you'll get whenever we do a show. But of course, what's great about the network is that not only do you get what we do here, you get the routes and broadcasting folks stuff, which is pretty much like anytime there's a big TV show or a movie that is just released, they pretty much have the review pretty quickly right after. So you'll definitely want to make sure you subscribe for that. That's some of the best stuff that's on the channel, along with our stuff. The Deuce Season 1 review, the last thing they did for TV Party Tonight. They also did the Black Mirror Season 6 review, as well as the movies kind of start to wind down from the summer. There's not that one hit right after the other that we were getting for a while there. And, you also have our Todd the Keiki, our anime show. They didn't do one this week, but they're pretty consistent about reviewing all the new stuff that comes out each week. So if you like watching new anime seasonally, that's a great show to go check out. And then, of course, if you want to go just listen with your ears on podcasts, you could do so as well. Just search for Video Games to the Max for us, Valuation Broadcasting for all the stuff they do, Tatakeki, on any podcasting that's available. And you can do that and get whenever we do a show there. So moving along to start the episode. So my adventure with Starfield goes like I'm gonna bring up the point that Bethesda games are not my jam usually. I've tried all of them several times, Skyrim, Fallout 4, Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, all that, and I'd get somewhat going, and then it wouldn't jive with me. And the same things happen with Starfield. I think part of my thing with Starfield is that the ship part of it is fun, like building the ship and doing all that stuff.
Can it beat the gummy ship?
Yes. But I don't like the fact that everything feels like it's just a menu, right? And like you're not really taking the ship there. You're just hitting a button, going there. And then a lot of the planets feel kind of like there's not a lot of things on there. I know that there's these big hub cities where a lot of things happen. Maybe I need to kind of keep giving it a little bit of a go here and there. But it doesn't help that I have this game that totally is my jam, that keeps calling my name in Sea of Stars. So I kind of gravitated over to something that I would rather play and kind of left Starfield off and didn't keep playing. Like I said, it's not. Yeah, go ahead.
Fly to like planets. Like it's not like it just fast travel between planets. I mean,
well, but you're not really. You're fast traveling for the most part. You're not really like it is a bunch of menus.
Right.
So that's the thing that kind of just bothers me. And then you get on the planet, and because it's a lot of it's procedurally generated, you know, you don't know really what you're going to get there. A lot of the stuff. I mean, there's the missions are fine. The shooting is good. All that stuff. I think I enjoyed that part. Like I said, it's just something that I might kind of like slowly go to when I don't have other things that I'd rather play to, especially when we get to the end of the year stuff, when we're just kind of playing games that we know we need to play more to talk about them for game of the year and things like that. That might be when I really kind of dive into Starfield and say, okay, let me give this a real shot. Let me see if I find something that kind of hooks me. But so far, I kind of haven't. And hey, look, for the people that have really enjoyed that game and are it's their game of the year and stuff, that's awesome. I love that. I love hearing stuff like that. Um, there are people that kind of feel like me though, that it didn't really grab them also. So we'll definitely see as you know this release lineup keeps going. Liza P is coming out. They already got reviews out right now. It comes out next week. That's one of the games I'll talk about when we talk about games coming out. You know, that's already coming. We got some other games already hitting. So this is going to be fast and furious for the rest of the till December. We'll see how that goes. But I am enjoying Sea of Stars a lot. Um, the story still kind of hasn't gone anywhere where I'm at, but I love the characters. That battle system got even more things added to it since the last time I'd played it. So it just feels like every time they add something, it just makes the game more fun. And I love there's a little story moment where you get the reunion with that character that I talked about before, like your little companion that's not Solstice Warrior, and the way that he interacts with you when he comes back is such a cool, fun moment. I like that. I don't know how many more of those moments there are in this story, but if there's more like that, then I'm definitely gonna enjoy it. But I am really enjoying the doing battles and getting the combos and having to be active because you can minimize and maximize damage and stuff like that. And then they added a system where you can boost, kind of like Octopath Traveler, where you get like magic orbs that come out of enemies when you attack them, and then you can decide if you want to boost immediately or you can wait and get all three and boost one character so he can do a super powerful attack. It's I love that. I love that they added nuance to the combat. So that's great, and it's going to keep me wanting to come back, and hopefully I will be able to progress more in this week coming. Other than that, just kind of had a lot of things going on to take up my time. So especially having to work a lot and all that stuff. But Mark, you've been playing some things. How's that? You weren't a big fan of Breath of the Wild, so how is your time with Tears of the Kingdom? Is it any different?
It's continuing.
It's continuing?
uh,
Okay.
I can really recognize that it's like a well-made game, but like yeah, it's not grabbing me. And I'm like 10 hours in. I actually just completed like one of the main temples, the Wind Temple, and I think the earlier Zelda games like really provided you like you're in a room and you have to figure out how to get out of it or get progress, and it's pretty clear what to do. This one in Breath of the Wild aren't like that at all. Like the game is not handholdy at all. Like there's no Navi equivalent essentially. So
Yeah,
yeah, I'm just
definitely it assumes that you played the other one and then also that you're gonna just grab this. I've heard people get stuck in the tutorial part for a
really.
long while, figuring out how to get to where that first temple is.
Well, I'm not even sure if
Yeah.
it's like the first temple. I'm kind of doing things out of like there's no set order or anything. It's just like
Right.
what
Okay.
are these four temples or uh the game has not it's not stable or it's not 100% great. Like it's pretty impressive that you can go from like the sky to the ground uh pretty seamlessly, but when it hitches up pretty bad. Like I've had it like kind of freeze for a few seconds here and there, and I'm like, okay, that ain't cool. Like
Yeah.
I can see why
Does it
why.
run pretty well? I mean,
Aside from that, yeah. Oh man, though, a tutorial like having to do like when you do the shrines, so those are usually fine,
right.
but like having to go through the dumbass animation of like talking to like the statues at the end constantly, and they say the same thing. Like, thank God there's a skip button. I would have stopped this game like 3 hours ago. Uh, I had the cart version because I actually got the collector's version, so I'm playing like the original. I haven't patched the game up at all, so there's a few pretty fun item duplication bugs. So I have like a ton of money now, and that helps.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, you have different powers than in Breath of the Wild. The four main ones, you have like, you know, the gravity gun, or you can manipulate objects. One is like you can fuse objects together,
Right.
which is strange. Um,
Well,
one
isn't
is you
that part
can
of the building stuff? Is
no, it's like for weapons and like
okay.
your shields and stuff. It's like, okay, I have this ruby and this sword. Now I can fuse them together, and now I have a ruby sword. And it's like, all right. Uh, run it. One is like a rewind feature, so it's like I'm playing Blinks the Time Sweeper, and the last is uh like, oh, what is it? Damn. Uh oh yeah, you can like if you're underneath something, you can like jump between like you basically like jump up and go and like phase between the object. Like let's say there's like a platform above you. You can like go through the platform and like come out the other side.
Right.
But it's highly situational and a little finicky. Like it kind of works, but yeah, like it's just like I'm just reading guides constantly because the game doesn't tell you anything. Or I mean, it has a tutorial, but it's like I, I know cooking is a big part of this game. How do I cook? And
Eh,
some of the UI is just terrible. Like to cook food, it's like go in the menu, hold the food, and you can hold up to 5 ingredients, and then you put it in the pot. And it's like, why can't I just press A at the pot and select ingredients from like that menu or what should
yeah.
be that menu? Like why do I have to hold objects? Like that seems really weird. And there's still item durability. Uh, it seems easier than the last game. Like I'm not nearly as frustrated with this one, at least so far. Uh, and it's funny, like that they added Zelda voiceover, and she talks to Link. I mean, you're trying to like find her, but like in the intro, she's talking to Link, and other characters talk to Link, and Link is just mute, and it's like, yo, it's time to give Link a voice. Like,
Yeah, I heard a lot of people talking about that. Like, is this finally the game that kind of says,
well, they do it
uh,
because like, they it's like Zelda's having like a one-sided conversation. She's like responding to Link, but Link doesn't say anything. So it's like, what the fuck is going on here? Maybe
yeah,
maybe that's
that's
maybe that's part of the canon of Zelda is Link is always mute. you know,
yes, it is, but because he's supposed to represent like you as the
right?
player. Yeah, he's the link between you and the world that's there. But
If only, sadly Charlie Murphy has passed away. Otherwise, he'd be a great Link voice.
uh um
I mean, it's fine, and I'm gonna keep playing it, kind of out of obligation. But I'm not having fun. That's like the weird, like it's like the weirdest thing is I can really see why this game is popular, but it's completely not grabbing me at all. Except for like very specific. It's like, oh, I figure something out on my own. That's cool. Uh, and it almost kind of reminds me of like Elden Ring in a weird sense. Like you got this big ass open world and like boss it's gonna spawn out of nowhere. It's like, all right, I guess
But
I'm
you loved
decent.
Elden Ring, so
Yeah, but that game had like good combat mechanics and was enjoyable.
yes, the combat from everybody that I've had on that talked about this game when it first came out, the combat was the number one. I don't like the combat in this game.
Yeah,
And if you're one of those folks that survival games or well, you like those a
I like
little bit,
some,
but
but I mean, it really depends. It has to have good mechanics, and I'm not 100% sold on a lot of mechanics in this game.
yeah, a lot of the things that people enjoyed are like exactly what you said. The whole, oh my god, I can make anything really,
Right.
and I can literally build a bridge to solve almost anything that I want to, and it's like, yeah, I can see how people would really like that if you're into that, but if you're
Yeah,
not,
yeah. That's the problem. Is I'm not. I'm just watching guides and like the shrines. It's like, okay, how do I get through this and get the treasure if I can? It's
yeah,
not
you're just kind of like making yourself progress through the game.
right. And
But
like,
yeah,
it's funny because I mean, there are a bunch of side quests in the game which are pretty okay, but there's one kind of reoccurring side quest where this guy is like holding up a sign, and the second he lets go of the sign, it like falls over, and the goal is like build something so the sign doesn't tip over, and you have to like it has to like stay upright for a few seconds for it to like solidify basically. And
yeah,
always buy this guy's construction materials like boards and planks and crap like that. I just build like the most like basic ass, stacking like lumber on top of each other so when the thing falls, it doesn't tip over. And I'm sure other people are building like elaborate designs or stuff like that. It's like I don't care. Like I just want to get through it, or just the simplest solution is probably the best. So,
right.
but
Uh,
I think it's still fine. All right. I mean, like I said, I'm not having fun. I guess I am kind of enjoying my time. Like I was up till like 5 a.m. last night playing it, but
yeah,
uh, yeah, it's just like the damnedest thing of like, yeah, like it's not grabbing me at all. Like
uh,
it simultaneously is and it isn't,
right.
So yeah, I got the platinum in Strangers of Paradise also.
How was that?
It's fine. I just did this one mission over and over, which is just like run through it and get the treasure item, and the mission completes, and then that's it. Like I know
Uh,
it has, I think it has like 3 DLC packs or 3 like DLC things. I'm not gonna
right.
get
Yes, it
those.
does.
I don't care. Like I'm happy just getting the platinum in the base game. Uh, and yeah.
All right.
Oh
Well, that's cool. At least you got the platinum.
yeah, it only took me like 30 hours.
Yeah, that's not
uh,
bad for a game today.
right. And me and Yins played more of the Ascent, where I mistakenly erased my save game, which was
Oh
cool.
no.
Uh, and like I think I was trying to invite him into my game, and I think I clicked like new game instead of resume game or something, so I just wiped my save. I'm like, neat. Uh, so I joined his game, and he was like level 13, I mean, the same level as I was, like 12 or 13, and I'm one. And I'm getting like one shot by everything. But then
Oh no.
I eventually got good, and now I'm at the same level as he. Like because just we were doing harder missions, so I got a ton of experience. And yeah, that game continues to be janky. Uh, it's still fun, but like whenever we play that game, whenever I start it, it goes through every game tutorial in the menu. Like this is your loadout, this is your augments, all this other crap.
Yeah.
So we played a few nights ago, and it did it. Like I went through most of the tutorials like already, but I hit the armor tutorial and I clicked close, and it didn't, and it just persisted all the way for. We played like 15 more minutes, and it had this like everything else was blurry except for the tutorial, and I was still playing the game. Like the game like heavily fucked up. And it's like, I gotta stop playing because like I can't see anything except for this tutorial on the screen that takes up 90% of it.
Uh,
So we came to the realization that like the 360 and to a slightly lesser extent the PS3 had way better online infrastructure than the current consoles, which is sad.
yes, that's
Because he was lamenting that we couldn't play Castle Crashers, and he's like, "I know this worked on the 360 just fine. Why can't it work on
right.
the PS5?"
Oh, that's so the PlayStation one is not working. Yeah,
uh,
well,
yeah. I mean, I assume the Xbox One also is borked, but who knows?
yeah,
But
we're gonna have to wait to see if Microsoft even bothers with trying to go back and fix things
I
like they
doubt
did
it.
with the Call of Duties.
Right. I mean, Call of Duty is like an actual like popular game, or
Right. I mean, that game was popular for its time, but definitely not, now.
right.
So,
But that's all I've been playing.
all right. Well, I mean, that's a lot of cool stuff. We, gonna be interesting to hear if you feel any different about Zelda in the next few weeks or whatever.
Yeah, I'll
But
keep chipping away at it.
yep. So let's get into the news here, and there is one big controversy that has sprung up in the last like 2
Day.
days
Yeah.
from game developers that Unity has decided that they want to start charging a fee, a royalty fee, basically at the beginning of next year, January 1st, for anytime someone installs their game. And if you have multiple devices, it would count as another install, which seems kind of counterproductive to someone wanting to play something on multiple devices. But
Oh, who does that?
people want to this Unity wants to charge money, so they're finding ways to do this. So now they backtrack some of this stuff to appease the outcry of game developers, and they have a right to be upset because this is really going to cause an issue of people wanting to use Unity at all.
Yeah.
Because even though it's not retroactive, so it's not like anything before it's installs, I guess, that happen after January 1st is when this would start taking effect. Because could you imagine the amount of, if this was all retroactive, the amount of money people would be paying if it was?
If it
So
was retroactive, Unity would be sued out of existence.
yeah, for sure. So the thing is that they have a code that they have to basically Unity has to pay to keep up. And supposedly it's rather expensive according to the I forgot it, the Unity Create president Marc Whitten says that the maintaining the Unity runtime executable is quite expensive, according to him. So anytime you install a game, it runs that executable. So I guess that taxes on to them. So they're trying to push some of those fees onto developers, which would then also push some of that onto the players, because as we saw, the extreme part of this, which could happen with a lot of games, Cult of the Lambs developer said, go buy that game now because on January 1st, I'm removing it from the store. That's not good, folks.
Yeah.
You don't want games disappearing from stores because people don't want to pay fees way down the line. Because the thing is that it's not like they're just going to come and take out money every time this happens. They're going to take it all out in one lump sum after they hit the amount. So they have some kind of threshold that you have to hit. So if you made your game with Unity Personal or Unity Plus, which I think they're going to remove the Unity Plus, is what they said. and your game made $200,000 or more in the previous year and have at least 200,000 lifetime installs, any install after that, they'll start charging you. And some of this is going to be 20 cents per install. Some of it's going to be 2 cents per install if you have the more expensive Unity Pro and Unity Enterprise, but then it's also a bigger threshold. So if you made it with Unity Pro, Unity Enterprise, I know, so this is like a lot of numbers for people. I'm sorry. Your game had to have made $1 million over the past year, and then also have over 1 million, at least 1 million installs as well. But the thing is that we know how gamers are, right? At least the angry ones that we see on social media all the time. Let's say a game isn't good, or comes out not good, or it's some hyped game that gets a controversy, or anything. People can then decide that they want to go and delete and reinstall, run some program that deletes and reinstalls the game over and over. Somebody can just do a mass thing where everybody buys the game and installs it. Like, a lot of bad things could happen with this, right? If you want to give your game away as part of a charity, that's a problem, right? If you want to give your game away for free, that's a problem. If you want to put your game in Xbox Game Pass, that's a problem. Because now Microsoft has to pay for that.
The bundle thing, they said, like, oh, if it's in a bundle, it won't count.
Well, the demo, they said it even could do it for demos, but apparently if the demo, as long as the demo's not in a thing that includes the full game, where it's like early access, then it won't count. But still, charities have to be approved by Unity in order for that to work, so that still sucks. If somebody refunds the game after installing, like, there's still a lot of unknowns that haven't been answered here by Unity, and I assume there's going to be a lot more backtracking still.
I assume that they are going to completely 180 this, or but the damage is already really done.
Right. There's a lot of people that are. I think it's Thomas Sala, the guy who made Falconeer, an Xbox Series X launch game. He is already like full-time committed to Unity. He already has his game in full development on Unity, but he said, man, if you would have came out with this like a year ago, I would have stopped making my game on Unity. Right. Yeah. And a lot of people said they're going to stop using Unity now because they don't want this problem of who knows when you're going to get charged some big ass fee because your game went over the threshold and you stopped paying attention. Right. The Among Us people, the developer Interslaw, said it would cost me less money to just port my game to another engine.
Right.
Like, it's just, it's stupid. I don't see, other than benefiting Unity to make extra money, which they say supposedly this is going to result in only 10% of Unity developers ending up having to pay fees. We don't know what 10% that is. And if you're affecting the wrong kind of 10% that aren't cool with paying this, nobody was cool with paying this, but people that this is a big problem for them to pay this, you're going to lose those indie developers in the future. It's like, this is not, I don't see, any of the engines adopting something like this. Unreal's tried to actually lessen the amount that they get back from making games because why? Because they know that people you have to make games in order for the game industry to continue to thrive and be a thing, right? Even if you keep up Fortnite and all these other games that people play constantly, if there's not ever anything new coming out, it's going to slowly die. So you need these indie games and other games that are made on Unity and other engines to continue to be made. I just wonder, like, there's a developer that mentioned that Unity is run by developers, and that did no one ever ask any of the actual developers at Unity what other developers would think about this? Like,
I mean, he can say Unity is run by developers, but Mark Whitten is there, and then the CEO of Unity is John Riccitiello, and we all know
yeah.
how developer friendly he was when he was at EA. So
Yeah, it's like that's the thing. It's the figureheads thinking about how can we make money, and then don't think about how does this affect the actual developers.
see, you brought when you were talking about this, you brought an interesting point of like it costs. They claim it costs them money to like install games, and it's like how does that happen, or how what the fuck are you talking about? Because
Well, it
it's
has to
like
run the executable every time,
yeah,
right? Every time
but it's
you
not
install the
like
game.
hey, I'm running Half-Life 2. It's a drain on Valve servers whenever I run the game. Like that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen
Well,
with any
it's
other
only
game.
during the install apparently, because you don't. It doesn't. I guess it doesn't cost them to run the executable once you already install the game. I don't know what the big thing is, because it has to install. It has to install the executable. So then, therefore, it's then every time you run the game, it runs executable, right? So,
But no, it's not
yeah,
like I don't think Unity has like a storefront.
no, it doesn't. It's just a
Yeah,
game,
so it's
right?
like okay, I buy a game through Steam. Why the fuck is it charging Unity anything?
Well, it's not charging it. It's like something has to do with the actual executable, like having to. The
Yeah,
more games that are made with it, the more games that are installed with it. That means the more it's reaching a certain threshold where they have to keep putting something to
but
keep
like
having the.
that. Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but it's like that doesn't happen with any other program or service or anything.
Yeah,
You know, like I can understand them counting. Like if they had some like weird counter system where it's like, oh, we can see 10,000 people install the game, or because
right.
that's probably how they track metrics about like how popular a game is. I mean, aside from just like sales, but like it doesn't cost like it's not like a resource drain or any
Yeah.
what they're claiming.
Oh
And
no, it's
also,
probably not. I don't know what they're looking at that's saying this is a resource drain or whatever the thing is. It's them just trying to make money off the fact that they know PC players and console players will constantly delete things and then reinstall them,
yeah,
right? Even though they're saying it's only the initial install now that's going to cost money, it still doesn't help because again, like I don't see PlayStation or Xbox wanting to pay Unity some kind of
no,
fee
that
to have the
that
game on PS Plus or Game Pass. I
that'll
don't.
never happen. Yeah, like
Yeah.
they'll yeah, good idea
Uh,
fucking around with Microsoft and Sony's lawyers. Like,
how much do you like? I forgot which developer said it in here, that all these quotes that are in here. We're not gonna focus on. We're gonna delay DLC. We're gonna delay doing things for the game because that means somebody's gonna install the game again, right? Somebody's going to buy the game again because we have DLC now.
yeah,
Like that's the thing. You're actually hurting the games that are on your engine instead of helping. So I don't know what you could really do if you're a Unity to make this work for everybody. Maybe talk to people more and not just announce something like this.
I mean,
But yeah,
examine your business model and figure out. I mean, I understand that they have like a code base that they need to keep updating. Although I've heard like other developers like really bitching about Unity that
yeah,
you know,
Unity also wasn't going through a good
yeah,
time right now either.
basically
Yeah.
since like Riccatello took over, that like it's kind of fallen by the wayside, or and it's like yeah, that tracks, I guess. um,
Right.
but yeah, examine that problem. But I mean, yeah, it's just like way to torture your business in like 2 days.
Yeah, what a way to make people
Really just a day. I mean, this all just broke yesterday. So
exactly. Well, it broke like the day before, and then the next morning they had already issued one backtrack.
yeah.
So this isn't good. There's already like I think Godot engine already came out and was like, "Hey, look, we're free and
Yeah.
open source," and like I'm sure Unreal is probably going
Yeah,
to try to
I saw a
jump
lot of
on
people
this.
going to like talking about Unreal Engine 5. I mean, because that's not free, but well, technically I guess it is. But it's like, yeah,
Right,
once
but
you
they get a big revenue share for
right.
yeah.
But also it's like if you pay for an engine, that should kind of be it.
Exactly. You pay your monthly fee or whatever. Like a lot of developers said, I don't mind paying my monthly fee. That's just part of it.
And
But
then them canceling like basically
uh,
like the mid tier option. So it's like now it's like with PS Plus, or it's like now you either basically have the essential option or the premium, like the super premium one, which is like $3,000 more. It's like what?
right. It just this is not it doesn't make any sense at all. They said that somewhere they said that somehow this is better than charging the revenue share, which everybody else does. It's like there's a reason why everybody else does that because it's the agreed upon thing that works for everyone. Like you don't
Yeah,
need to go try and do something new when there's a reason nobody else is really trying to do this because you don't need to upset the apple cart in this way. Like, it's crazy that a game that's loved like Cult of the Lamb, the developer, Massive Monster, has to come out and be like, we're just deleting the game on January 1st because of this.
or
It's like, yo,
I'm sure it'll be like the whole delist the game, but then Cult of the Lamb, Prayer Edition or something stupid like that'll come out, and it'll just be like UE5, and
yeah,
here's a reloaded version.
probably. And that's the thing. You're gonna get a lot of people that are gonna do exactly what Interslaw said, that we're just gonna pay to remove our game from Unity, and then you're gonna see a lot less people make their game with Unity. And the people that were already upset with Unity are just gonna be like, oh well, we're never using this again. Like,
Yeah,
I give it a week to 2 weeks before they just totally 180, like you said.
yeah,
Because this doesn't help anyone and it's stupid. So hopefully that's the good news that we get at some point, that we're talking about that backtracking on this. But that's kind of like been the I guess the biggest like breaker of news. This last time we did the show,
yeah,
there's some other things here. As well as we talked about Embracer with the $2 billion that they lost and that they shut down Volition last week.
yep,
Now they're wanting to sell Gearbox, of course, the people that make Borderlands, Tiny
yeah.
Tina's Wonderlands, all that.
Good strategy right there.
Um, Supposedly, that's just one of the options, according to 3 people familiar with the matter, according to VGC and Bloomberg, which saw an email that Gearbox remains part of Embracer, but they're also thinking about going independent, possibly, or or just keeping Gearbox and not selling them at all. But they acquired Gearbox like 2 years ago for 1.4 billion, which that's kind of nothing compared to them, acquiring Lord of the Rings later.
Right.
But
Yeah, it's like
yeah,
I would probably try to be divesting myself of that nonsense rather than a somewhat proven developer.
yeah. But for them, they probably think, okay, Lord of the Rings is going to make them more money in the long run if they can get something to hit, right?
They're wrong, but yeah.
Yeah. Uh, but also what like I know Gearbox publishes some indies and things like that. But don't you also run the risk of like, isn't Borderlands going to hit a wall at some point? And that's kind of like the only thing that they do well. Like I know they had the movie coming whenever that is coming.
I mean, they had a
But
game coming out soon that Homeworld 3, I think.
well,
And they used to have other franchises like
what you call it, that MMO, what was it, the
Battleborn.
Battleborn, that thing got
It's
shut down.
it's
Yeah,
gone, yeah. But they used to have Brothers in Arms, and that did
right.
okay. And like Gearbox actually kind of used to be like a port studio, like way back in the day.
Didn't they also make that launch game for the PS5? The one that was exclusive and then not exclusive.
Uh,
Dang it, I can't think of it right now.
doesn't look like it.
But
Yeah, it's weird because like
Godfall, didn't they make Godfall?
oh yeah, that's
Yes,
PS4.
it's published by Gearbox. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's just weird because it's like Embracer has a whole bunch of other studios that haven't made shit, or you probably wouldn't even know that they're owned by
But then the
Embracer.
thing is, like, who wants them, right? Are you just going to shut them all down?
I would. I hate to say it, but I mean, I wouldn't have closed Volition either because it's like they're having a real rough patch. But they used to make great games. But yeah, this thing is like weird because like it's not like Gearbox was small or
Yeah.
I mean, I think the problem with Gearbox is they aren't super prolific, or they're not. They basically make a game like every 3 years, and it's like that's not the greatest pipeline, or
Yeah. It's not, but like, I also understand that what they're looking for is somebody that will give them something close to what they paid for Gearbox,
right.
right? And get recouping some of that money that they didn't get from the Savvy Games Group thing failing.
But who's gonna? I mean, realistically, who's gonna do that? Like, I don't see like Microsoft or Sony ponying up for that for Gearbox.
Yeah, I don't see Take-Two like trying to re-add them.
Right.
So, and there's really not that many other people out there looking. Like,
Right.
let's be honest, unless Amazon or what Apple
Or that like
gets in the
Chinese,
mix,
or that
or
Chinese group.
Tencent, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, unless Tencent could do it, I guess they like just putting money into things and seeing it grow or whatever. Maybe that would be the best thing for Gearbox if they want to kind of have a little semblance of independence. Just be like, hey, Tencent, can you just invest in us and we'll make another Borderlands, or we'll do something else, or make another Tiny Tina's, or whatever the heck that is that they want to continue doing. But I just, that's the thing, is like there's not a lot of people out there just going and wanting to just buy studios. And could I see maybe Microsoft, if they ever get this thing over the line where they're done, um they're done with the Activision Blizzard thing and they can go back to purchasing things, maybe,
Yeah.
because
I doubt it. I
they
mean,
like shooters and stuff like that. But
yeah, but I think they have enough on they have enough on their plate, and uh, I mean they're gonna be trying to wrangle all the Activision crap. So
well, and they also publish Remnant too.
yeah, I mean that's the thing is Gearbox
Yeah.
they have a better. I think their publishing track record is way better than fucking Embracer groups.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Like, I know they're the publisher, right? That doesn't mean that they would get. I don't know if that would mean that those game series also go with the whoever buys them.
Right.
But yeah, like you said, other than Homeworld 3, that's kind of like the only thing they're working on right now. And I know for a while,
Well, they're not even doing
um,
it. I mean, they're just publishing it.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. They're publishing it, and they also had to do it through crowdfunding. It's not like they,
Yeah.
just funded the money themselves. So
I mean, yeah, like they don't have a new, like they didn't even have like a new announced game. You have to assume it's going to be something Borderlands related, but it's like
right,
that franchise is a bit long in the tooth as it is.
yeah, they
Uh,
even tried to bring back the Tales from Borderlands 2, and that thing came out, and then no one talked about it.
right.
Tiny Tina had some traction for a while.
Yeah,
Uh,
but it's a thing of like, yeah, no one's talking about it, or that I know.
yeah,
I mean,
that the most you hear people talk about Borderlands now is when you try to compare it to other games that are coming out now.
right.
Like I heard a lot of Borderlands comparisons with Starfield actually. So and that's whether that is your flight of fancy or not, that's something else. But I can see somebody buying them. I don't think it's going to be right away. I think we're gonna find out about it later. Like this might actually be a decent grab for Sony, who again needs people that are familiar with shooter games.
Yeah, but it ain't gonna
And
be for 1.9 billion or whatever.
yeah, and maybe not. If you're still looking to do things that are not live service, because they have Destiny and Bungie is the one in charge of all these live service games that they're going to put out now. But if you want to
Yeah.
have a company that has a franchise that you can put it out and it does numbers and people will flock to it and it doesn't have to be live service, it is something to think about. So that's the thing too, is who would want it. I could see both of the two big ones going to get it. Other than that, unless Tencent just wants to invest to keep them independent, I guess they could do
No,
that too.
man, it's gonna be Nintendo. They're gonna end up with it.
And that would be interesting. I wonder what it would take for Nintendo to get into this race of like buying something that they don't already own. Like we've seen them buy studios that they already kind of do business with.
Right.
But like, what would it take for them to go grab somebody that just like out of the blue? Hey, we did a deal with them.
Yeah.
Like, would they ever do it? It'd be interesting to see if they ever did. So, moving on from that, here, this past week was like the launch week for Starfield, even though yes, it came out previous to September 6th. And really, this whole thing with everybody getting early access now is like, I agree with Dan Stapleton that they should change the release dates to match with the early access version, because that's when the game came out. When you already come out with a version that people can buy, that's when the game came out, not September 6th or whatever. But anyway, the whole point is that it is doing well for Microsoft. They had 6 million, was it 6? Yeah, 6 million players in one day. Don't know if they're going to break the record that Forza Horizon 5 has, but they're getting close, apparently. It is selling consoles in the UK and the US as well. So that's what you want, right? They want these AAA games that will sell consoles. And it looks like Starfield is doing that. It's getting people to get into the ecosystem, which is what they want. And that's good for Starfield, even though like we talked about last week, the like critical ratings are kind of like all over the place for the game. And this also led to people saying, hey, we love this Bethesda game. What's going on with the next Bethesda game, which of course we know is Elder Scrolls 6. And once again, Phil Spencer's a little bit coy about, hey, is this thing going to be exclusive too? And he says, again, the whole case-by-case basis thing. He said, when they first saw Bethesda, that because games that have legacy on other places might be considered, which perhaps Elder Scrolls 6 gets considered for PlayStation because it does have a legacy on PlayStation.
Right.
But again, like he said during the court thing, this is way out there. So I would base it off of, are they doing well at the time that they're finally figuring out what systems this is going to release on, because it's definitely not going to release on PlayStation. I mean, if it comes out on a PlayStation 5 and an Xbox Series, it's going to be way at the end of that console's life cycle. So, yeah, we're talking probably about more like a PlayStation 6 or Xbox, whatever the hell that thing's going to be called. Are they doing well enough at that point where maybe they just be like, you know what? Why not put it on PlayStation? You know, get the most money we can for this thing.
Right.
Or will they still be in the cadence of, everything Bethesda has to be exclusive, you know, all that. So, which is interesting because then Todd Howard also says, even though Pete Hines and Bethesda have said before that they wish the games could be on PlayStation, they had the emails that went back and forth with Microsoft about, why is this game can be on both systems, and then why can't our games be on both systems, right?
Yeah.
That Todd Howard said that the game Starfield is better because it's only being made on Xbox and PC, right? I don't know. What do you think about that? He's saying basically that because you know the hardware, you know that what you have to make it for, you don't have to kind of try to make it work on numerous consoles. Do you think he has a point here, or
No, because like it's not. There are some differences between the consoles, but it's not huge, or And I'm sure they have a PS5 development kit around there somewhere. I do kind of. I guess I would kind of more subscribe to his other statement of like, because Elder Scrolls has been on other PlayStation before. We'll put it on this one. That holds more traction for me, I guess, because Starfield technically is a new IP, and same with Redfall.
yeah?
And I think it would actually be dumb if they didn't put Elder Scrolls 6 on PS5.
I also do too, but I can also see if they still haven't had a lot of hits from some of the other stuff, that they could say, okay, we need to make this exclusive to get people to, just like Starfield, to buy the console or
That
yeah.
here's the thing is that also presumes that Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be good. Like,
Well, I mean, I would hope so, right? Like that could literally be the last game that Todd Howard ever works on. I think he would want it to be good.
yeah, but he was one saying, Starfield is game of the generation, and it's like, yeah, that 7 out of 10 game of the generation, huh?
Yeah, I don't know about that. There are people saying that, but I don't. This is definitely not
So
one of those. I do wonder if, like, again, we're talking about the next consoles. Like, where is Microsoft going to be with that? Or let's say that there's a lot more Game Pass adoption at this point. Like, do they actually consider not having a console? And then do you do it because you know for sure it's going to sell on the PlayStation 6 or whatever? So it would be an interesting thing to think about when we actually get there, if that does happen. Yeah, I do think that he's right about the whole part where you can now associate Starfield with Xbox, right? Like what happens with the PlayStation games that get made only on PlayStation, or Final Fantasy 16 and Final Fantasy 7 Remake, for example. You associate those with PlayStation, right?
yeah,
So I get what he's saying there. If you keep things on the console, then when you think about Starfield, immediately Xbox, right? Right now, because of the way your laptop is, I already knew when the game came out, oh man, I can't even think about buying it for Mark because he doesn't have an Xbox Series, whatever.
right.
So it sucks in that way, but I get it. Like he mentions the whole people think of Switch when you think of Zelda, right? So could Starfield be that for them? Could it be another thing? It definitely is a Bethesda game. It has a lot of the Bethesda things in it, no doubt on that. But we'll see down the line what happens with that.
Yeah.
Speaking of things that we should have known, we should know already at this point when we talk about Square-Enix and something that has to do with sales. What's the next next 4 words that come out of your mouth, come out of the mouth after that? Did not meet expectations. Well, lo and behold, Final Fantasy XVI did not meet the high end of the company's expectations. These expectations just are something else with Square Enix. To be fair, they did put a lot of money into Final Fantasy 16. They tried to westernize it, like make it more for a Western audience, use the Game of Thrones stuff, or aspects of it. How much of that do you think when you compare it to Final Fantasy 15? Is it because it's only on PlayStation 5?
I guess some, but I mean, are you asking like should it rather be on PS4 or should it be on Xbox?
On both, right? If it was on PS4 and then also on Xbox, wouldn't have made more money, right? We still have a lot of people in Japan that don't have a PS5. Still have a lot of people here that don't have that.
I think the PS4 one makes a little more argument because like Square has never really supported Final Fantasy on the Xbox. Like, yes,
well, Final Fantasy 15 was on there.
Yeah, but you have to imagine that if it sold well, that people would, or that they wouldn't have made it exclusive or wouldn't have taken Sony's money to make Final Fantasy 16 exclusive. And
it's probably one of those where they offered it to both of them and Sony gave them more money and they said, okay, well, we'll just take Sony's money and make it exclusive, right? They also already had the deal with Final Fantasy VII Remake, so
yeah,
who knows on that? They had a deal with Final Fantasy 14 until just now,
right?
So like,
but that's what I mean. It's like like, and think about like Final Fantasy 13. Like that came out on both consoles, PS3 and Xbox 360, but the 360 version was screwed up heavily.
Wasn't it? I thought it was exclusive to 360 for a while.
No, it came out on both. The 360 one came on like multiple discs because not a Blu-ray, but like the 360 one had like bad frame rate issues and like the CGI was like not as good, like the resolution wasn't as good. Because it's like, Square just did like a basic ass port of Final Fantasy 13. I was like, here you go.
Yep.
So
it's interesting, they also kind of blame the Avengers stuff here and Forspoken.
I mean, they haven't had a ton of hits.
Well, the hits they do have are small.
Yeah. Well, they're modest, but it's like they expect the world, and it's like, yo, until you release Final Fantasy VII Remake 2 or whatever the hell that thing is called, like, don't get your hopes up.
I mean, that's the thing too, right? Is that it didn't even meet the Final Fantasy VII Remake numbers. It got close, but it didn't meet them. And then also, that's where the PS4 could have come in to play, is that Final Fantasy VII Remake was released very close to when the pandemic started, where we had the lockdown, which made people buy more games. And then it was on PS4.
Yeah.
So which is the console what people had. So and then it came out to PS5 later. So that's the thing is if you had it out on both, yes, it suffers in quality as far as like the graphics and everything else. Is that matter more to you than the sales? And that's something Square Enix apparently at first thought was better. Maybe they thought there was going to be more PS5 sold at that point. Also, remember that until this year, really, it wasn't that they're just now madly available, and that also like we got to remember that we're in like an economic downturn, so it's not like people are just going out in droves buying PS5s. And I think also we kind of have a backlash to things that keep you in the home right now because we had so much time we were in the house because of the pandemic.
Right.
People are spending more on like traveling and via cars, transportation, other things that are more quote unquote fun than being in the house, playing a game. So I don't think you have that casual appeal. Not Final Fantasy's niche, but still, you don't have that casual necessarily appeal, like a Zelda, or Mario, or a Grand Theft Auto, Call of Duty bring, um, that you do with Final Fantasy. So I think Square Enix needs to also think about that. Interesting, also what people have been. We've said this a bunch of times. I don't. I don't want to rehash it here, but flooding the market with unfinished, bad, or untested games is a bad move. Oh, no doubt. No duh. Tokyo-based developer and gamer Michael Prefontaine. Yes, we've said that a bunch of times. Just putting out a slew of titles in a whole 6-month span without any marketing. I don't know. That's not going to help you. Right? Look, Square Enix and Sony, for the most part, did a hell of a lot of marketing for Final Fantasy 16. Not putting. They did their job for Final Fantasy 16. It's just, dude. I mean, like once you get burned by a company, there was also the whole Final Fantasy 16 isn't my Final Fantasy thing. A lot of people didn't buy it because it wasn't turn-based, or there was a lot of people that bought it because it was not turn-based also. It's just, I don't know. I don't think we need to be blaming all Square Enix's woes on Final Fantasy 16 not doing God numbers. I know they wanted God of War numbers, but you weren't going to get that. I don't think you were ever going to get that, quite honestly, when you're on one system only.
Right.
That's just so hard. They had to put PS4 numbers for God of War to Ragnarok to hit that number. So I think it's just kind of unfair. I don't know where Square Enix gets this whole meeting expectations thing and what this really means. I know this is a report. It's not necessarily, we haven't heard from Square Enix themselves say that. But I don't know. I do agree that they need better quality control. That is their biggest problem. They have really bad quality control. And they're letting these creative heads get too big. And then once they start making the game, they don't have a way to tell them, yo, y'all need to pivot. Y'all need to do something else. This needs to be smaller. You can't have this in here. It's going to confuse people. I don't know necessarily. But that's the thing. You have like Nomura on here doing Kingdom Hearts 4, and we know how that goes. That game's going to take forever to get made. Just the way that he makes games. You got Final Fantasy VII Remake. You got all these remakes supposedly in development also. What happens when those don't pan out other than Final Fantasy VII? I hope not. Like, I really would like to see a 10 and 9 remake or whatever, two of my favorite Final Fantasies. But I don't know, Mark, just...
I mean, yeah, Square's kind of in a rough place, and they keep coming out with crap that no one cares about, or that's, like you said, mediocre, like that Ever Crisis thing. It's like, who asked for this? And
I think that's fine. It's a way for them to make money. I don't think that's the problem. I think it's stuff like...
it's because those close down in 6 months, like they, like that Final Fantasy VII Battle Royale thing they did like last year on mobile. Like,
no, that thing I do agree with. That thing was not... I think this is okay in a way, because it's not like those other ones don't make money for them. The Brave Exvius and Mobius one and all that. I mean, those things are still getting content, so they must be making money for them. I think this was made in that same way, with using Final Fantasy VII as a way to get people to, oh, hey, it's another way to play Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core. And I don't necessarily think that's the worst decision. I do think things like having Dealfield Chronicles, Star Ocean, that farming game, all that coming out in a 6-month span.
Harvestella.
Harvestella. Like, because a lot of the stuff they come out with this year is good, right? Theater Rhythm was really good. Great, even. Octopath Traveler 2 is great. Final Fantasy 16 is great also. It's just, they got to understand that those Japanese RPGs are not the system sellers they were back in the day.
Right. I honestly doubt. I mean, Theater Rhythm was good, but I doubt it was like a huge,
No, I'm talking
seller.
about sales wise. Yeah, if it would hit 1 million, they would have talked about it. Somebody would have put a press release about it already.
Yeah.
I love the fact that they're making DLC for it still. That Final Fantasy 16 is going to have the DLC and all that stuff.
Right.
How much more are they going to support it after that? I don't know. But that's also a way for them to keep making money on that game that doesn't constitute sales. Maybe it's something where like it's already gone on sale. Like maybe it'll make more money when it on a sale because it's only a rhythm game at the end of the day. It's not that. But the other games like are just it's like Sea of Stars. It hits that one market that loves those kind of games, and that's it.
Yeah, but the problem is that market is rapidly dwindling. So
yeah, like that's the thing is it only hits a certain market, and it doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't expand really that much. Like Final Fantasy 14 does great, and maybe you get people that are gonna go when it hits on Xbox. You're gonna get people that play the game and get into it and everything else because of all the hoopla and everybody talking about how great it is. But again, these are games that just don't appeal to a certain audience. And also FF16 doesn't really offer a way for you to keep playing the game.
right.
So like it doesn't make people want to. You beat the game and then that's it, right? So doesn't once people if they've watched the game, played on Twitch, or they had a friend that said they beat the game and they felt this way about it, if it doesn't really move them to want to buy it themselves, they're not going to. It might also be just one of those where $70 is a lot for a game and they might buy it when it's 50 or 45 or whatever. Square-Enix has got a lot of stuff to figure out.
Right.
For sure. I don't know when they're ever going to fix this issue of making too many games, but at least this year it doesn't feel like they made like a ton and just shoved them out there. That being said, they are doing this thing that I do like that it's not Square Enix, but Square Enix got onto the train of putting things on PlayStation Plus when you have another game in the franchise coming out. They're doing that. I don't know why. I still don't understand this whole what makes something premium and what makes something extra. I thought anything that was PS4 and above was supposed to be part of extra. And then anything that is PS3 and below is premium. But then apparently not.
Yeah, I don't even think there.
It's like so they have 1-Star Ocean, 2-Star Ocean games, which are the two most recently released ones. The Divine Force, which is the one from last year that got released in that whole smorgasbord of games that I talked about, and the Star Ocean Integrity and Faithlessness, which was actually supposed to be pretty bad. And then the other Star Ocean games that were out on PS4, First Departure R, Till the End of Time, and Last Hope, which is a remaster, are all PS4 games, and they're all premium. So, explain this to me, Sony. I don't get this. But I do commend Square Enix for just putting the stuff out there and letting people go and explore part of the Star Ocean franchise for the fee of having PS Plus. And realizing that before this HD 2D remake that's coming out this year, maybe people will get into it and want to buy the remake. I don't know. But I like that. I like when you do things like this. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
And Dragon's Crown Pro, which is on PS4, is apparently premium as well, which a game both of us liked. I don't understand that either, but whatever.
All right.
But then Odin Spear, Leaf Rouser, and 13 Sentinels are part of extra. Make it make sense, Sony. Make it make sense. Also, New Replicant is also going to be on there. So, I never got to play that, so maybe.
I haven't, and I played like a few hours, but it just didn't grab me like the other one did.
Yeah, and Automata, yeah.
Yeah.
That seemed to be the thing with a lot of people. It didn't grab them like that. So moving on from here, let's talk about Nintendo for a little bit, shall we? Nintendo explains the Charles Martinet's ambassador role, and it's very ambassadory. He's gonna be traveling the world, talking about how much he enjoys being Mario and trying to get people to love Mario more. And yeah, so anytime they have like a Nintendo event where there's a Mario game present or something that has to do with Mario, he's gonna be there apparently.
Yeah.
Sounds about right. Just sign
Right.
autographs, meet fans, that kind of thing.
Yeah. And he was at a comic
Yeah.
convention like locally a few months ago. I think in like May around here. So yeah, just meet people and do the Mario voice and have him record phone, voice messages and stuff for you.
Yeah. So,
but still no announcement about who's taking over.
Yeah, we're probably not going to know that for a while until
Right.
Mario Wonder comes out.
And it'll probably just be like some stage name or some unknown name, but it'll still be Chris Pratt.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Having a okay. Anyway. Apparently somebody's phone doesn't work and it's my fault that their phone doesn't work. I don't.
Are you the phone god? No.
I guess.
STFU,
Like it's not something I'm gonna be able to solve in 2 seconds, and this is live, and whatever. My God, I hate this. Would have to have a problem when we're at the last thing before I have to. Give me. Okay. So anyway, I forgot which, I don't know if it's Gamescom or which thing that Nintendo showed off the Switch 2 at.
Yeah, it was Gamescom, or that's the rumor anyway.
That they so Nintendo basically has been showing off the Switch 2 doing tech demos. And apparently it can run the Matrix Awakening Unreal 5 tech demo, thanks to that NVIDIA DLSS technology. And it looks pretty good. It's running pretty good, and also some higher frame rates for Breath of the Wild. It doesn't mean that they're going to re-release Breath of the Wild, but that's good that it is using that DLSS technology.
I'm sure they will. Like Breath of the Wild will be on, or they'll have like a double pack maybe of both games, and it's like now it's enhanced for Switch 2 or whatever.
Yeah, it could be. Hopefully they're not gonna. I mean, if they charge the $10, I guess, whatever. Just hopefully it's not an insane like recharge that they're doing for that. I really hope that does mean that okay, we can have an underpowered Switch, but it is going to run closer to like a PS4 Pro, I guess, level or something like that. And maybe that means it can run more of the games that you'd still be having coming out now on PS5 and Xbox Series, because that's going to be the problem, right? You're coming out next year. We're already in the middle of the PS4, or it's not PS5 and Xbox Series being out there, and you're going to be behind them Like, it doesn't matter how awesome the fact that it's portable and that you can have more Nintendo. Yes, they will probably still keep doing what they do. I'm sure that it won't affect them that much. But eventually, not being able to run like the newer third-party games, or even the third-party games that came out earlier on the PS5 and series, is going to be a problem.
Yeah.
So if they can still have it come out around the $350, $400 range, and the fact that, you know, it still will work and have this whole system still have these new games come out is good. It makes it to where it'll be worth the investment of the $400 or whatever, instead of
At least for 2 years
yeah.
until games move past like they have every
Yeah, I don't
Nintendo
know, but
console.
maybe that will make it to where they can keep up with it, right? It can move it from having it can actually be a 4K image when you put it on the TV, and maybe it'll be 1080p or 14, maybe probably 1080p is the most they could probably do when it's importable.
Yeah.
But it'll be worth it to put it on your new 4K TV and not look like, I'm sorry, but let's be honest. When you put the thing on your TV, sometimes, depending on what game it is, sometimes it actually looks worse.
Yeah. There's some pretty grimy stuff in Tears of the Kingdom.
So, like, that's the problem. Like, most people still, well, not most. There's a lot of people that love playing it portable, like me. But then when you still want to put it on your TV and show people, hell, this is the game, or you want to play something with somebody else, and it's much easier to put it on your TV, then, you know, you can do that. So, and I hope that it really does what it can. And it's still mostly a Switch. I know that they said that there's some like things they might be trying with it. They've possibly added some kind of fluid thing to the Joy-Cons, maybe, that are going to be on the Switch too, that could prevent it from doing drift. But we'll see. Because not even the DualSense has drift also. So I don't know if they will have resolved that problem or not.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we have some of the things here, because I have to go and pick up my daughter, so we can't spend too much time here. But Ubisoft's been having some issues with Skull and Bones losing another creative director. They had to delay XDefiant because it can't pass the Xbox and PS5 certification tests.
Again, another market quality right there.
Ubisoft, just brother. And honestly, I feel like I'm almost tired of talking about Skull and Bones at this point. Like,
gift that keeps on giving. So
yeah, it's just somehow they feel like they're still they can charge $70 for this. I don't understand that. Like, you know, this game's gonna come out, and I cannot imagine this is not gonna be one of those games that it comes out and then later they're gonna save it. It's just not. It's gonna come out. Maybe there'll be some people to play it, and that's kind of it. At some point, you need to just, I don't know. It feels like it's more of a headache to keep delaying this game and keep like having it be there. I don't know. Just, at some point, cut your losses, Ubisoft. Do you need another thing that comes out that's mediocre? And like really the only thing that you can come out with that has the quality of Assassin's Creed and everything else is just, all right. It's like, I guess that Crew Motorfest is going to come out, and I wonder what that's going to be. Or well, early access is already there, right? Or
right, I think just last week or this week, or I mean, but no one cares. Like that's the biggest problem is.
Yeah.
This is their third crew game, or crew game. It's like, wow, really? You keep doing this, huh?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they promised a bunch of stuff with it. I guess everybody has to feel like they have their car racing game or whatever. But the ESA is gonna be doing no E3 for 2024. They're apparently reinventing E3 for 2025, whatever that is. I feel like we've also talked about this a lot. I really don't know what they can do when you have Summer Game Fest out there and they're not going away. I know E3 has a name, but it's just like E3 is something from a time gone by. And you already have PAX and like I don't know, Mark. Like what can they really do to you already have something like Gamescom? Like
I
what
mean,
can they really do to make E3 even be a semblance of what it once was?
I think when they pivoted more towards making it more public, that was kind of the downfall.
Yeah, that's
because then it became just like every other event, or So I would actually say go back to like more the roots of having it be like a more exclusive event, if possible. Not that anyone, hey, I worked at GameStop for 6 months and I can scam my way into E3, or whatever. But that's my only real suggestion, or like real thought on the matter.
I think they have to do something more like Jeff does. You
Yeah.
cannot charge people for having this huge ass booth there and trying to nickel and dime people constantly and charge so much just to show up at E3. I mean, like, listen, people already pay a ton for the airfare and the hotels and everything else. You're gonna charge the press to go. They don't charge them to go there, but it's like, all the developers and everybody else, like, they get charged so much just to go there.
Yeah.
And you got to lessen that, make it more open for them to be able to go to that. And then, yes, do make it more of a press thing like Summer Game Fest. And just, hey, make it feel like exclusive. Maybe you need to move it out of June also. Maybe you need to make it not a summer thing. Maybe make it a spring thing.
Right.
I don't know. The fall obviously is just there's too much going on. And you can't do the end of summer because Gamescom's already there. Like maybe it needs to be like a spring thing before Summer Games Fest. And it's more of like a preview of the things that are going to be coming way down the line. And and there's a little bit of time between E3 and Summer Game Fest. You just can't have, especially what Summer Game Fest is, where it's not necessarily that whole week or whatever. And you need to have like space between all these big events. They cannot be against each other because you're forcing developers have to pick between one or the other. And now Summer Game Fest is more established. Now Summer Game Fest is the thing that people go and tune in for. You want to make E3 that again, you have to do it before and not make it. You're not competing anymore. You need to just be another big event that's in the industry, but you have the name E3 and then make it more developer friendly. Because the thing, if you're going to still do the same thing that you've been doing, that's the whole reason people stop doing E3.
Yeah.
Because it cost them too much to do E3. And Summer Game Fest was cheaper. And they can still do their digital events and all that stuff that they do. Just E3 needs to do that. I feel like. I don't know. Just a couple more things really quick. Sims 5 is going to be free to download because now Sims 4 is free to play. So you can free to download that.
Everyone to death.
Exactly. Daytona 2, USA 2, which was never released here in the US, is possibly going to appear in the Like a Dragon Gaiden game as Sega Racing Classic 2 in order to avoid its right issues. They had to release like a different version of Daytona USA on the Dreamcast 2001, so that's why that never got released. There's always been cool Sega games and the Yakuza games before, so are you excited to be able to play this?
Daytona USA 2 did come out over here, but just the arcade, version.
Yeah. Sega sold their arcade
business
stuff.
like last year or whatever. I mean, it's a shame I won't have that song, but it'll still be good.
Yeah. All right. Anything else you wanted to discuss here? Also, that Gargoyles HD remaster now has a release date.
It
October
looks
19th.
cool,
So.
but like that game was ass. I thought when I played it as a kid. So
yeah,
like it's one of those like really hard like it's not even a platformer. It's like a brawler, but the movement is just really wonky.
Yeah, for sure. It's gonna be interesting how that gets received by people.
Yeah.
At least they're not making the port cost $1 gazillion or whatever.
And I think the guy actually added maybe more voice work, but I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
So that's cool. And like one of the limited run things is it comes with the Genesis cart, which is neat.
Yeah. That's cool too. It comes with like a clamshell case, like the VCR.
Yeah.
As well, which is cool. All right. So just going into games that are coming out this week. I said Gumbrella is out today. So is Gravity Oddity as well, which is another cool like indie game that's coming to everything. Gumbrella is only PC and Switch. Treachery and Beatdown City Ultra Remix. I know that was Alex Navarro's like big game of the year.
Yeah.
1 year as well. The Pokemon Scarlet and Violet DLC, the first one, the Teal Mask comes out today as well. So I'm sure there's a lot for people to play there. The Batten Kaitos HD Remaster 1 and 2 comes out next week. Or not next week, sorry, tomorrow. The AK Zolotti also comes out this week as well. Tomorrow. That Dune Spice Wars game comes out on PC tomorrow. That Monster Hunter mobile game comes out tomorrow as well. That Inspector Gadget comes out tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff coming here. That Gloomhaven game comes out on the 18th, which looks interesting. Liza P and Mortal Kombat 1 are also out on the same day, even though I think Mortal Kombat 1 has early access, like on the 15th or something like that.
Yeah.
So NASCAR Arcade Rush also comes out. That Crew Motorfest also comes out. So it's a lot of stuff between now and then for you to sink your teeth into. And Party Animals also will be coming out by the time we do a show again. So, and that Party Animals game looks so much fun. Also, that's on Game Pass as well. So is Les P.
Yeah, Liza P just came out. I mean, the reviews just hit today. They're all pretty positive.
Pretty positive. Yeah, a lot of people were saying like might be one of the most fun Souls games out there. So that's positive as well. But all right, so hopefully you've enjoyed this episode of the show. We'll be back next week around this time. If you like, subscribe, follow, you'll find whenever we do a show, whether that's on the YouTube channel, W2 Network, or just find us on the podcast, Video Games to the Max. Go check out our other stuff as well, the Routes Broadcasting folks, Dr. Keiki, all that. Chapter Select, and we'll see you later, everybody.
Later.